you need to bring in more leads. You have a traffic problem. You're not marketing enough. But they thought they needed to convert more. Like, oh, I need to get more out of what we got. I'm like, that's not.
It's time for the Creative Real Estate Podcast, your source for out-of-the-box real estate investing strategies, brought to you by ecospace.com. Now, here's your hosts, Adam and Jason.
Hello, and welcome back to the one and only Creative Real Estate Podcast. I am your host, Adam A. Adams, the win-win maker. And today, oh my goodness, guys, what we're going to be talking about is how if you really want to find deals, if you really want to close deals, you need to understand how to be a true marketer, how to convert those leads, and how to track your KPIs. If you don't know what that is, you have joined us at the right time, at the right space. Without further ado, Mr. Justin Colby, how are you doing today, sir?
Dude, I'm awesome, man. I'm ready to rock the house.
I am excited. Okay, so let's talk about marketing. What do you need to do to have a good marketing machine, sir?
Yeah, so I'm a firm believer is you can't use one strategy, and I'm going to talk to the beginners and I'm going to talk to the vets out there. If you don't have a big marketing budget like myself or even yourself when you started, you need to still utilize 2 or 3 marketing strategies simultaneously. Those can be driving for dollars, which is absolutely free, and cold calling, which is absolutely free, or voicemail drops, which is very, very, very low cost. But you should, and on top of all of those, consistent networking. But that's for someone who doesn't have much of a marketing budget. Where you are going to likely spend some more money is when you get into bandit signs, which, by the way, up until about 2.5 years ago, I was a firm believer, did not work anymore. 2.5 years ago, one of my mastermind members said, bro, we're crushing it. We're doing 6 deals a month on bandit signs. I said, well, I'm back in, right? So bandit signs still work. They continue to work. I don't know if they ever really went anywhere. I just made that up in my head. I've been a direct mail king for, I can't even remember, 6-7 years now, and PPC. And that's where you're going to spend a lot of the money, but you change the motivation, right? Yes, you're going to spend more, but you tend to get higher motivated leads through those marketing channels. So this is something that, depending upon where you are in your business, you can change the marketing strategies you use, right? So that's really, really important.
So one thing that I know, if somebody's listening right now, this is what I struggled with when I first started trying to wholesale. A long, long time ago, I thought, wholesale is important. I need to do it. And I actually created a marketing piece. We mailed it out. We actually had 5 or 6 different types of marketing pieces. We mailed them out. By the way, we never tracked our KPIs, unfortunately. Okay, so here we are marketing, and I don't think we were doing a bad job. In Denver, most people seem to get about 0.5% response rate or less, and we were getting about 0.5% response rate or more. So we weren't doing too bad. But here's the deal. People would call us. People would call in, and I wasn't converting those leads. So Justin, what's next? After your marketing, how are you going to convert the leads?
Yeah, so it's so funny. So I just did this whole thing last night. I had my meetup group, and I went over these objections that are very, very common in the Phoenix market. I believe they're likely common in Denver markets throughout Texas, especially, now that the OfferPad, Open Doors, Zillows, these heavier players are coming into the market. But conversion of leads is twofold: how you overcome the objection, but also understanding your KPIs, right? So we could go on and on about objections and overcoming rebuttals, like I need to think about it, or, Realtor Johnny said I could list it for $300,000, and you're like, oh my God. First and foremost, converting leads comes strictly down to informing the other party. It's information based. The best way you can convert that is give them the information and then revert to question-based selling, okay? Question-based selling is how I convert all my leads, because I simply ask them why more times than they can give me a solid answer. That's how I do it, right? Is why, and then they have no more answers, and I say, okay, well, let's continue to move forward and get this done, right? Because they at the end of the day, everyone just wants to feel like they get a fair shake. They get a fair deal. They're not, giving their home away for free. So I overcome, do you understand? Do we agree on the number? Most times they say yes. Do you understand the process? Do you understand this whole process of, escrow and opening of escrow, and that you don't have to call your bank? You literally do nothing until the day of signing and closing. Yes, I understand that. Do you understand the paperwork that I have in front of you? I just read through it, but I want to stop now and make sure you clearly understand every word. Yes, I understand. Well, here's the big question. Did I say something wrong? Maybe do something wrong? Or do you dislike me? Do you not trust me? And then I just shut up, because I'm giving every single reason for them not to move forward, right? And they say, no, I like you. I feel like we've gotten along great. They say, well, so what do we need to think about it? Now, that's just one, why do you need to think about it? That's just one objection. It tends to be the most common, but you continue to ask why, right? And then eventually they're going to say, well, okay, right? And so again, I don't want to we could do this for hours. The way you do that then will help you convert deals, but how you know you're converting enough deals is the next component. I have people in my mastermind that think they are crushing it, and they're doing 4, 6, 8 deals a month. And then we review their KPIs, and they're bringing in 2,000 leads a month between all their marketing. I'm like, you are not crushing it. Hate to break it to you, right? Out of that lead volume, you need to be doing double that, right? Then you would be crushing it. You're kind of playing mediocre. And so all those play into each other, right? You need to be a great marketer to bring it in. You then need to understand how to sell, how to negotiate, how to persuade. I'm a big question-based selling person. I ask questions to the nth degree. Great book is Never Split the Difference. Never Split the Difference is a great book for those of you out there, maybe a little nervous about negotiating, maybe a little nervous about persuading. But then you'll know if you're doing things right. Like, for example, if I say I'm converting 1 out of every 57 cold call leads that I get, well, you might be thinking you're crushing it because you're doing 1 out of 70, or vice versa, right? Like, I might hear someone who's doing, I'm converting 1 out of every 38. And I'm like, God damn, we got to get better. But if you don't even know those numbers, then you don't know whether you need to get better, right? So it's either a traffic problem or a conversion problem. Most people actually try to fix the wrong thing. I had a conversation with a student of mine yesterday. I coach privately. And so they were like, whoa, man, we need to get more deals. And I'm like, okay. And then I asked them a couple quick questions, and I realized they were converting 1 out of every 8, but they were only bringing in 20 leads a month. And I'm like, it's not you need to convert more. You need to bring in more leads. You have a traffic problem. You're not marketing enough. But they thought they needed to convert more. Like, oh, I need to get more out of what we got. I'm like, you're answering the wrong problem, is my point.
Yeah, that's really, really good. All right. So for somebody like me who's never tracked KPIs, we've never been at the level that you are. For somebody who's never tracked KPIs, where do we start, Justin?
Well, first of all, I'm happy to give you and your listeners my tracking sheets. Okay. So I broke down tracking sheets for everybody, for direct mail, PPC, cold calling, voicemail drops. I have independent tracking sheets for all of them. So I can start there. I'm happy to do that.
How do we do that?
I don't have like a website where you can just go download them.
Okay.
So what I'll do is I'll say, email me at info@thescienceofflipping, info@thescienceofflipping. Or even better, follow me on Instagram and Facebook and send me a message. Say, hey, I heard you here on the Creative Real Estate Podcast. Can I get those tracking sheets? I'm happy to do it.
Awesome.
Email them to you.
Thank you.
Because I just don't have like a
link.
But keep it basic, right? So create your own spreadsheet if you don't get mine, and you want to know how much you spent on the marketing avenue. You want to know how many leads came in, how many calls came back, how many calls you made, all of the normal like in and or out, right? Because if you're cold calling, you're making calls out. How many actual leads that performed on. From leads, how many appointments, from appointments, how many contracts. That's the basics.
Nice.
How much you spent, how many leads it brought in, how many appointments, how many contracts. Because then you can do a cost per lead, cost per deal. Oh, and then last thing I would say is profit margin. Track your profit per deal would be awesome.
Nice.
Not awesome, but you need to, right? Because then again, back to predicting a business for those of you that are going to be there that are trying to get out of just the hustle and want to start to scale and build. You need to be able to predict, if I bring in for direct mail, if I bring in 20 leads, I'll get a deal. So how quickly can I get 20 leads through the door? Right? For PPC, we're doing 1 out of every 13 leads. That's a little different. PPC is a harder thing to do that with, but you still track the same numbers, right? How quickly can I get 13 leads through the door?
Awesome. This has been phenomenal. I love it. We will let you go, my friend. But
Yes,
until
sir.
next time, think outside the box. Thank you so much for listening to the Creative Real Estate Podcast. And if you got value from this episode of the podcast, please take the time to leave us a rating and review on iTunes. Give us a written rating and a review. We'd really, really appreciate it. I'm going to let you go, but until next time, think outside the box.